there, how is everyone? I hope you're all well on this terrific Thursday? Thirsty Thursday. Thirsty, terrific, fantabulous, fantastic Thursday, and you're looking absolutely terrific as well. So let's get straight into the meat and potatoes, as I've got some notes here, so just so I can read it. But I have a question in the Idaho 4 case, and that is, who is telling the truth? Because someone isn't. Someone isn't telling the truth. And I wonder why that is. Now let's set the tone, right? Because I think about, in the alternative, as in Brian Kohberger didn't do this crime, I have to think about, okay, if he didn't do it, who did? And what I will say is, look, he might have done it. He might have done it. He might be an absolute psycho, and he did it. But in the event he didn't, someone else did. And if he didn't, what makes the most sense? And I think there's enough out there at the moment, if you're truly paying attention, to at least have your doubts. But for me personally, if Brian Kohberger didn't do it, then the most reasonable assumption would be that it had something to do with what happened on the night, and that is that there was a fight. And this conversation about whether there was a fight or not, this is something that was corroborated by Cara, which is Xana's mum. And we also have in the background still this resonance of Steve Gonsalves saying they didn't have to go upstairs. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean anything about the order with which things happened, but that could mean that the targets were downstairs. The targets were Ethan and or Xana. And maybe something happened that, was different, or maybe they went upstairs and done whatever they did upstairs first and then came down. But the point being, the statement of they didn't have to go upstairs makes me believe that at some point Steve Gonsalves believed that the person or people who did this were targeting Xana and or Ethan. And that again comes back around and takes you right back to the frat house party and whether or not there was a fight. But this is what I mean by who's telling the truth. So I'm going to read you something, because Angela allegedly, she's someone who comments on the channel, and she challenges people. She challenges people when they say things that she doesn't think is correct, and they're right to do that. I removed a video yesterday because the information in there wasn't accurate, and I removed the video, and I'm going to redo it. That was the Micah Miller video where I said that the guy had overheard a scream. It wasn't a scream that he stated he overheard, it was crying, which kind of completely changes the dynamic of that situation and actually further supports my feelings. It was actually me being wrong that led me to believe that there was something else, and that's why that's very, very important. But let me just read you something. So Angela comes back, and I'll put it on the screen here. Jeffrey Knodel. So this is a statement from Jeffrey Knodel, right? I heard from her, I think, before we went out, Knodel said. I think midnight was the last time we heard from her, and she was fine, he says. Xana was in constant communication with her family, and nothing about that night seemed unusual, he said. The door locks with a number code every time you go. You have to go around the house because of the number code, so they either knew that or went around and maybe found the slider door open, he said. Jeffrey Knodel is now struggling to understand how this could have happened. Why Xana? They were just hanging out at home. Xana was just hanging out at home with her boyfriend when this happened, he explained. So that is from an interview that was done with Jeffrey Knodel. But when you've got Cara, who has spoken to the likes of me, I've spoken to her directly. She has also done lives. She has also spoken to J-Rod as well. Not the weird, Justin guy. J-Rod, another crime channel. And, it would appear that Cara even considered whether Xana was at the food truck that night. Now, there's a little bit of confusion over here, because Cara, to me, was it was like, my interpretation of it was she was pretty sure that wasn't Xana at the food truck. Pretty sure it wasn't her. But I think J-Rod believes that Kara is pretty adamant that Xana is indeed in that footage, but that's debatable. But anyway, get to the point. The point is that Kara had stated about this fight, that there was indeed a fight, and not only was there a fight, the family were going to go and attend Moscow, but they had been drinking. Well, there's elements of truth in there, because even in Jeffrey Knodle's statement, he says, I heard from her, I think, before we went out. So I must assume that they were going out and potentially going out and had drinks that would go hand in hand with him not being able to drive to Moscow because he had been drinking, which is the story that Kara's pushing about this party and the fact that they couldn't drive over there because they had been drinking. So, when you factor in the fact that Bethany Funk had stated she was at the party with Xana and Ethan, so they weren't hanging out at home, they were at the party. And they were at the party with Bethany, who stated that within the PCA. And even to the point where she says that they didn't leave the party until 1:45 a.m, which then is further stated in the PCA, which that statement paired with Dylan Mortensen, that Dylan Mortensen says that they returned at about 2 a.m, which gives them about 15 minutes to walk home, which someone's lying. Someone's lying to me, because it would appear that Jeffrey Knodle is now stating that they stayed at the house and they were just hanging out at home. Nothing was out of the ordinary. He doesn't mention anything about a fight or anything. So why is he not mentioning the fact that there was a fight? Is it because there is more to that, and that would mean questions that could backfire and look bad on Xana and or Ethan? But the point being, someone's not telling the truth here. Someone isn't telling the truth. Now, why would they lie about it? Why would I don't understand why they what all you want in this situation is to know the truth, know what happened, know where they were. We at this current moment in time, because of conflicting stories, we don't know where Xana and Ethan seemingly were. We're now questioning whether Bethany Funk then is lying about them two attending the party and there being a fight, which is confirmed by Kara, because Jeffrey Knodle turns around and says, well, no, they spoke to them at about 12 and they were just hanging about at home and nothing was out of the ordinary. That's rarely sus. As Drip Drop would say, that's sus to us. So let me know down below who's telling the truth and who isn't telling the truth. Because surely in order to get to the bottom of what actually happened that night, everybody needs to be being honest. So we can, or not necessarily we, I don't want to become that arrogant that I believe I should know everything. But do you know what I mean? For truth and justice for all, you need to know what happened. You need to make sure that all the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed. Well, this is just spilled ink all over the page. Let me know down below what you think, and I will catch you all in the next one.
The Rent Podcast.